आपे मान लैणगे अखी जा मलंग साजे आपे मान लैणगे अज नहीं ते कल सारे आली आली कहणगे मस्त 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 दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त
फिलॉसफी के जो कंपैरिजन होते हैं, जो साइंस और फिलॉसफी को इस तरीके से डिस्कस करते हैं हम लोग, वो कंटेंट की बहस ज़्यादा होती है और उसकी फाउंडेशन की बहस कम होती है। मेरा मतलब ये है कि हम साइंटिस्ट जो कुछ कहते हैं और रिलीजियस लोग जो कुछ कहते हैं उन चीज़ों को ज़्यादा डिस्कस करते हैं, और जो फिलोसफर्स ऑफ साइंस और फिलोसफर्स ऑफ रिलीजन कहते हैं उस चीज़ को ना होने के बराबर। कम से कम हमारी जो कैलियन ट्रेडिशन है ना, यहाँ पे जो बहस को बैसा होता है उसमें इसका बहुत कम जिक्र होता है। तो मेरा ख्याल ये था कि बहुत सारे जो छोटे छोटे मसाइल हैं ना, बहुत सारी डिस्कशंस जो हमारे यहाँ पे चलती हैं वो इस मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग की वजह से हैं कि साइंस और रिलीजन जो है ये कोई बड़े ही कह लें आइसोलेटेड, बड़े फिक्स्ड किस्म की कैटेगरीज हैं जिनको कभी चेंज नहीं किया गया या किया जा नहीं सकता वगैरह वगैरह। ठीक है, तो आइडिया इज दिस कि हम फाउंडेशंस ऑफ रिलीजन और फाउंडेशंस ऑफ साइंस को कंपेयर करके उनका एक क्रिटिकल कंपैरिजन करके विल ट्राई टू अराइव एन ओपिनियन के इनमें अगर वो कॉमनैलिटीज़ हैं तो वो क्या हैं, इनमें अगर कोई डिफरेंसेस हैं तो क्या हैं, इनमें जो हमारे एकेडेमिया में चीज़ें नज़र आती हैं उनकी रूट्स क्या हैं क्या नहीं। ठीक है, तो मकसद ये था। तो पर्पज ऑफ दिस डिस्कोर्स इज बेसिकली टू कंपेयर द फिलॉसफीज ऑफ साइंस एंड रिलीजन इंस्टेड ऑफ जस्ट कंपेयरिंग द कंटेंट ऑफ साइंस एंड रिलीजन। डिस्कोर्स की दूसरी नशिस्त है, the second sitting. In the first sitting, we only had an overview of the whole discussion that we were going to have. Usme we tried to establish some bottom line. सबसे पहले we tried to define the three key terms in this discussion, that is philosophy, religion, and science. And we defined. You can add any of your own observations about this. We define philosophy in the minimal terms as the discipline which provides the foundational principles of other disciplines, so to say. Right? So, philosophy is required from the point of view of a theoretician, from the point of view of someone who is interested in the principles of things rather than things themselves. So, science, religion, being disciplines when it comes to the point of view of philosophy, have to have some foundations, have to have some principles from which things begin, and that is the job of philosophy to provide those principles. वो जो उसूल हैं उसके जो बुनियादी उसूल कह लें किसी भी चीज़ के, they are established by or they are discovered by or they are discussed by philosophy. ठीक है, इसकी सबसे कह लें एक बेसिक जॉब जो है फिलोसफी, कम से कम आजकल ये है। एक दौर था कि ये सिर्फ इतनी नहीं थी, इससे ज़्यादा थी, बट नाउ इट हैज़ बीन रिड्यूस्ड टू दिस. Now it is mainly concerned with the foundation of other disciplines. Then we also tried to define religion, which was a tricky business कि religion की क्या definition की जा सकती है. हमने बड़ी एक basic सी rudimentary सी definition की थी कि जिसके दो aspects थे कि religion generally speaking would have two elements invariably, and one would be the conception of some supernatural or divine realm that is above the natural realm, and the other would be the element of rituals, because those rituals would serve as reminders of those core beliefs के जिनको हम ये supernatural या divine के मुतालिक beliefs कह रहे हैं. ठीक है, मतलब इसकी ज़ाहिर है कि बहुत सारी definitions की जा सकती हैं, बहुत सारे sociological व्यू पॉइंट से की जा सकती हैं, philosophical व्यू पॉइंट से की जा सकती है, epistemic व्यू पॉइंट से की जा सकती है, लेकिन हमने एक बड़ी मोटी सी definition की थी कि जहाँ से हम अपना एनालिसिस शुरू कर सकें. तीसरे नंबर पे साइंस थी, और साइंस की डेफिनेशन हमने दो एस्पेक्ट से की थी, मतलब दो एस्पेक्ट्स में कवर किए थे. एक ये कि उसका मकसद क्या है, उसका क्लेम क्या है, और दूसरा उसका मेथड क्या है. साइंस का क्लेम जो है वो नेचुरल वर्ल्ड के मुतालिक नॉलेज जनरेट करने का क्लेम है. वी वांट टू डिस्कवर द प्रिंसिपल्स beneath the natural world, the physical realm, so to say. Science by definition is pertaining to the physical realm. And that is why even when it was not called science, before the time it was called science, when it was called, let us say, natural philosophy, so the element of nature was there. That we were more concerned with the natural aspect of reality rather than supernatural aspect of reality when it comes to science, of course. And the second element that we discussed was, of course, we will try कि हम इसको आहिस्ता आहिस्ता define कर देना, but the second element, roughly speaking, was the method of science, okay? Which again is something that comes from philosophy itself. By the way, ये मैं पिछली बार भी बार-बार remind कर रहा था that these are discourses. This is not a lecture. These are discourses for the purpose that they are supposed to be discussions, not lectures. This is why we started with such general conceptions of everything ताकि हर कोई उसमें अपनी input देता है, ठीक है? Second thing that I was talking about science was the method of science, which is scientific method के नाम से आपने बहुत चीज़ें पढ़ी हुई हैं. मैट्रिक की किताब में पहली बार पढ़ते थे कि hypothesis होता है, experiment होता है, observation होती है, theory होती है, laws बनते हैं वगैरह. So that is a very basic picture of scientific method, true. But of course, scientific method has its subtleties, has its complexities and intricacies which are not agreed upon. मतलब that is something which is not universally agreed upon. और उस पे सबसे ज़्यादा जो मेरा ख्याल है बहसें करते हैं वो philosophers of science करते हैं, ठीक है? So because we wanted to see a relationship or some correspondence between philosophy of religion and philosophy of science, तो पहले ओवरव्यू के बाद आज जो पहला मतलब दूसरा जो सेशन है इसमें हम फिलॉसफी ऑफ साइंस को थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोर करने की कोशिश करेंगे. मतलब बड़ा एक बेसिक सा उसका आउटलाइन बनाएंगे कि फिलॉसफी ऑफ साइंस उसके बारे में क्या क्या व्यूज रखते हैं, मतलब व्हाट इज द वैरायटी ऑफ ओपिनियंस अबाउट साइंस, ठीक है? तो जनरली स्पीकिंग फिलॉसफी ऑफ साइंस वैसे क्या होगी, वैसे तो उसके हम एक बना चुके हैं, एक खाका बना चुके हैं, लेकिन अगर लेट अस से आप एक डिसिप्लिन ऑफ फिलॉसफी ऑफ साइंस में ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं तो व्हाट वुड बी योर जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन? व्हाट वुड बी द जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ अ फिलॉसफर ऑफ साइंस?
Defined by whom? Muslim scholars or the Western scholars?
Anyone, any definition would go. Anyone?
साइंस को
बस
साइंस के जो एज ए डिसिप्लिन है उसको फाउंडेशंस और प्रिंसिपल्स जो है वो मुतय्यन करना उसके,
ठीक है,
और जिस चीज़ जो मैंडेट है साइंस का उन चीज़ों के आपस के ताल्लुक को जो है डिफाइन करना, वो साइंस की जो फिलॉसफी है वो उसको
बिल्कुल ठीक. लेकिन
साइंस
क्या है
अपने
कि
आप को डिफाइन नहीं कर सकती फिलॉसफी की है.
बिल्कुल ठीक है, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. बट वो क्या एक एनालिसिस, क्या एक ओपिनियन है, पॉपुलर ओपिनियन की जो फिलोसफर्स है ना वो सवाल ज्यादा प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, जवाब कम प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. ऐसा ही है ना, मतलब फिलोसफी, द मेन कंसर्न ऑफ फिलोसफी इज टू रेज क्वेश्चंस अबाउट थिंग्स एंड यू नो इवन इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ जनरेटिंग आंसर्स और प्रोड्यूसिंग आंसर्स इट हैज जनरेटेड मोर क्वेश्चंस रादर देन आंसर्स, ठीक है? तो वो तो मुतय्यन करने का जो काम है ना, बिल्कुल आपकी बात ठीक है. तो यहीं से आपका जो एक कह लें एक साइंस के बिल्कुल एक बड़े एस्टैब्लिश्ड या एक सॉलिडिफाइड डिसिप्लिन होने का कॉन्सेप्ट है वो खत्म होना शुरू हो जाता है. It starts to disintegrate, so to say, in the sense that it is not something which cannot be argued upon, which cannot be contested as such. ठीक है? तो philosophy of science generally concerns itself with three aspects of science, I would say. सबसे पहला aspect है उसकी foundations का. मैं लिखता भी जाऊँ साथ साथ, कुछ जरूरत है इसकी? That would look like a lecture then, but still. So first of all, we are concerned about establishing some foundations of science. Okay. Foundations of science से क्या मुराद हो? What would we generally cover in the foundations part of science? What? Do participate, please.
Like
Because
it's research methodology.
That is the method part. That would not be the foundation. Foundations would be some underlying claims about the nature of reality and some underlying claims about how that reality can be known. Okay? For example, foundations के level पे you can say कि irrespective of several levels of reality that exist, there is a level of reality that we call the physical realm, and there are methods, there are some instruments that we have with us through which we can learn about the underlying principles of this natural realm. Okay? So the first claim of science from the foundation's point of view would be to claim that knowledge about natural realm is possible. In that sense, it is a very optimistic discipline. We can know about these things. There have been very skeptical scientists as well, जो कहते थे कि, for example, आगे जाकर हम देखेंगे एक जो problem of induction है, for example, that is something which is a very skeptical way of looking at things. We cannot establish something from a point of view of laws, scientific laws, because induction is the principle कि आपने बस आप faith की base पे, so far this rule has not been broken, so we accept that rule. लेकिन फिर भी मतलब ऐसे साइंसदानों के, ऐसे साइंटिस्ट के होने के बावजूद साइंस इज एज एन एंटरप्राइज a very positive and a very optimist discipline, so to say, and that is what provides its foundations.
So can we say that like about the foundations of science, that these are those elements which can be perceived by the senses?
Yes, you can say.
So,
We'll of course come to that. That would be more concerned with the what would we say the methodology of science. But on the foundations, we believe that the empirical or the perception apparatus that we have with us is something through which we can gain the knowledge of the world, and this physical world is an important part of that world. Okay? So that is the foundational aspect of its definition from the philosophical point of view. Then we can say that there is also a method that if there is now established that we can know about this, so how do we know about this? How do we know about it in a way that it is least erroneous? It is how do we know about physical reality in a way that it can be actually called knowledge? आपका philosophy का किस-किसका है वैसे background? Okay, so what do you think is very traditional way of looking at knowledge? What is knowledge? What is the definition of knowledge?
True justified
Justification for truth.
Justified true belief, basically the JTB aspect. Yeah, justified true belief. Okay. So knowledge is, in very traditional terms, it is something which is justified true belief. It has three key terms again. उनके अपनी philosophies are लंबे चौड़े उनपे analysis. What can be considered a good justification? What is the definition of truth itself? And what is the nature of belief? But let's not go into that and just believe that knowledge is something characterized by justification, by truth and by belief. Okay, so if I know something, that means that I have some justification for it. I believe it to be true and I actually believe in it. Okay? Although if I know something just out of chance, so that does not mean that I know it. Just like in an exam, if you are filling in some multiple choice questions, sheet fill करते हैं, and you don't know the answer, and by chance you get the answer right, doesn't mean that you know it. You still hold a belief which is true for that time being, but it is not justified to hold that belief as far as you are concerned. But science then mainly concerns with how to justify the knowledge that it obtains. Okay? So the method of science is mainly concerned with providing justification for your scientific beliefs, for knowledge about the physical world. Okay? The second part would be the method of science. साथ सब कुछ सवाल हो तो भाई पूछते जाएं, बोलते जाएं, कोई ऑब्जर्वेशन हो तो, बिकॉज अदरवाइज मजा नहीं आता.
Both these terms can be translated the foundations as ontology and method.
हाँ बिल्कुल you can say there is the philosophy of science would have an ontological aspect, it would have an epistemological aspect, and it would have some metaphysical aspect as well. Okay? So this mainly concerns with ontology, this with the epistemology of science, and the third one with the metaphysics of science, which is basically the aspect of interpretation. Okay? Because science has become, over a period of time, it has become very abstract in the sense that it does not really talk about things that we observe in daily life. it talks mostly about things which are not observable at all. For us, they are not observable at all. Even indirectly not observable. They are indirectly observable. For example, recently, हमने खबरें सुनी हैं कि we have that was in 2016, I think, when two black holes collided and there was an impulse of gravitational waves that traveled through space-time, and we detected that impulse. But what exactly is that impulse is something that we cannot even picture in our minds, let alone observe directly. So that is something which raises the question of interpretation. How do we interpret the claims of science? I mean, they are working in some way, fine. So from a utilitarian point of view, from a pragmatic point of view, that would seem fine. But whether something works or not, can that be taken to be a claim of truth? Can that be taken as a claim of justification? Can that be taken to be even a claim of reality, so to say? उस पे हम अभी आते हैं, उस पे सारी के सारी वैसे आते हैं. So it should be fairly easy to understand, I think, very easy to imagine that philosophy of science concerns itself with the foundation of science, with the method of science, and with interpretation of scientific theories which we have now. Okay. कोई मसला यहाँ था? कोई इश्यूज? लेकिन ऐसा है कि फाउंडेशंस ऑफ साइंस पे बहुत कम फलसफे में बहस होती है. मतलब होती भी है तो मेटाफिजिक्स के या कहने के नेचर ऑफ रियलिटी और खासतौर पर इस पे हम जाके अगले लेक्चर में ज्यादा बात करेंगे, क्योंकि जब फिलॉसफी ऑफ रिलीजन की बात करेंगे तो वहां पे फाउंडेशनल चीजें आ जाएंगी. उसके मुताबिक एक ही चीज आई वुड लाइक टू से, दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ नेचुरलिज्म दैट इज इनहेरेंट इन साइंस. Naturalism, what is the concept of naturalism, anyone? We have a philosopher among us, please.
I'm not here to give answers.
Naturalism is
interpretation. It depends how you, in which context you use the term. It could be that all reality is natural.
Yeah, exactly. So naturalism is the concept that reality is natural only, and there is nothing but natural, the nature itself. So that is sort of an extreme form of, relying on your senses. But there is also a methodological naturalism which only relies on this premise from the point of view of method and not from the point of view of reality or ontology. Okay? मतलब ये कि there are ways of looking at the physical world which does not exclude the other realms of reality. We can still believe that there is a supernatural realm, but we can say, like Kant said, for example, that we cannot really know something in essence, but we can know how it appears or how it, manifests itself. So we can only observe this physical part of reality and not the other parts. So that would be something that would be called methodological naturalism. That we will only rely on naturalistic causes and we'll be observing only naturalistic effects, but we won't be denying the reality or the existence of any other realms of reality. So whatever you would like to call it. Reality itself has become a very subjective word now. Everybody has his or her own reality now. So Bhara. So that is the point of view, that is the aspect from which we are concerned with the foundations for now. Baki iska jo discussion we will try to do it in the religion, philosophy of religion wala jo part hoga usme. So mainly we will concern ourselves with the method of science for today, because there is another session on science, philosophy of science, and in that we will be concerned with the aspect of interpretation, because that is where science sort of gives some way into metaphysical ideas, even those ideas which are quite old and which are quite traditional in the religious sense, and even they can be sometimes seen to be linked with interpretation of science. We will come to that in the 4th session, I think. Okay? So, anything you would like to say? आगे हम अगर नहीं है तो हम आगे चलते हैं. That brings me to the, I would say, the 4 stages or the 5 stages of evolution of philosophy of science from the point of view of method of science. That concerns itself with the method of science. We did discuss last time natural philosophy as the starting point of science, and before the 19th century, I would say, there was no science as such. And the word scientist itself was used in the 19th century for the first time. Before that, we had natural philosophers. We had people who were even naturalists, in the sense that they did not allow any other realms of reality, but we mostly had natural philosophy as a parallel discipline to many other aspects of philosophy, many other branches of philosophy. So natural philosophy is the starting point here, कि जहाँ से आपकी philosophy of science शुरू होती है. कि हम इसमें जो मेथड की सिर्फ बात कर रहे हैं, तो जो natural progression पहली हुई, that was the progression of logical positivists. ठीक है, as we know कि Comte का नाम सबने सुना है, Auguste Comte, for example. He had this view about progression of our understanding of things in 3 stages, and there was a stage of there was a time when we believed in myths only, and there was a time when we believed in some sort of metaphysics, and there is now a time when we believe in the positive causes of things. When we were believing in myths, so that was something that was beyond any philosophizing as such. We just took them as they were and believed in them. When the stage of metaphysics came, we tried to at least establish some underlying principles that would explain those myths in some sense. The metaphysical stage is the intermediary stage that paved the way for this positivist age, or the positive age that is now in place. The metaphysical age is a very important age, and मेरा ख्याल है कि इस्लाम या किसी भी religion के point of view से देखें तो theology is something that is a product of the metaphysical age. Because Kalam, for example, Islamic tradition of Kalam is basically metaphysics. Metaphysics in the sense that we are not just taking beliefs, for example, the Quranic beliefs, we are not just taking them for granted as myths or as ready-made beliefs. We are trying to make sense of them in some way. We are not questioning them, but we're trying to rationalize them in some way. We're trying to, make an argument for them.
Breaking free from the chains of intellect.
You can say, yeah, intellect in this, because intellect itself is a very tricky word.
Intellect, no?
No, intellect itself is a very tricky word, because in philosophy it has some other meanings, and in our common discourse it would seem something totally different. But of course, we try to make sense of things. So that was the first step in our intellectual evolution, so to say, that we took beliefs as not isolated from justification. For example, the oneness of God itself is such a hot topic in Quran, जो तौहीद का topic है. तो oneness of God को justify करने के लिए, creation of universe को justify करने के लिए, अल-किंदी ने और इब्न सीना ने कितने मुख्तलिफ नौइयत के उन्होंने अपने arguments दिए हैं, लेकिन हर किसी ने उसको justify करने के लिए कुछ philosophical, कुछ कहना चाहिए कलाम के नौइयत के और theological arguments दिए जरूर हैं. इसी तरह, for example, existence of God के मुतालिक जो arguments थे, there was a time when we did not have to really make arguments about the existence of God, because maybe we did not have any other explanation, and that was the go-to explanation that we had for everything. And then there came a time that we believed in things which were too complicated to just believe, isolatedly. We had to justify them in some way. Or Islamic theology or Christian theology, they are all attempts of making sense of making sense of religious beliefs in a way that actually rationalizes them to some degree. So Comte says that serves as the bedrock of modern positivist age, when we have moved on from those theological arguments to positivist arguments, and now we can actually rely on only natural causes for explaining natural phenomena. So rather than saying कि ये जो ज़ल्ज़ला आया है ये खुदा के अज़ाब की एक शक्ल है, हम कहेंगे कि हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हम ज़ल्ज़ले की कोई जो क्या कहना चाहिए एक फिजिकल कॉजेज हैं वो ढूंढने की कोशिश करेंगे. Because there must be natural causes for natural phenomena rather than supernatural causes. Because he says that. Now, of course, खासतौर पर जो मुसलमान हैं ना, उनके यहाँ ये ग्रेडेशन इस तरह से अभी तक नहीं हुई. Because we are, to a large extent, in my opinion, we're still living in the theological age or the metaphysical age at maximum. Even metaphysics is something which is not really welcome in Muslim majority. मतलब कॉमन जो हमारे मुसलमान हैं, आम लोग हैं, उनके यहाँ मेटाफिजिक्स इज नॉट, मतलब इल्म कलाम जो है वो बताते खुद उसकी बहुत जगह आपको मजम्मत मिलती है ना कि आपने बिलीफ को क्यों जस्टिफाई करने की जरूरत क्यों पेश आई। तो थियोलॉजी तो कह लें कि हमारा वो अभी तक एक क्या कहते हैं फाउंडेशन खड़ी है। तो हमारे लिए शायद थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाए, मुसलमानों के लिए थोड़ा मुश्किल हो, लेकिन फॉर द वेस्टर्न सिविलाइजेशन इट हैज बिकम वेरी immediate now. Okay, there is no need to invoke any divine causes or any supernatural causes to explain natural phenomena at least. If there are natural phenomena, fine. Supernatural phenomena, fine. But we are not invoking them. We are not trying to make sense of them in the first place. So that brings me to basically Kant. जिसका मैंने पहले भी जिक्र किया, because Kant is a very he's instrumental in this. He's central in this because he जो हम अक्सर शुरू करते हैं जब पॉजिटिविज्म जैसी जो मूवमेंट से उनका एनालिसिस शुरू करते हैं तो कूंटे से शुरू करते हैं कि उसने पहली बार ये जो एक लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल किया था पॉजिटिविज्म का, तो दिस इज वाई। लेकिन कांट वाज द फर्स्ट पॉजिटिविस्ट इन माय ओपिनियन, ठीक है, मतलब पॉजिटिविस्ट फ्रॉम एन एपिस्टेमोलॉजिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। he asserted that even if there is the metaphysical realm, we cannot have knowledge of it, so it is immaterial for us to even talk about it. The distinction of phenomena and noumena that he came up with. We can only observe phenomena that happen in front of us, which are observable, and there is no sense in making claims about a realm which we are not capable of observing. Something which is not manifest to us, that is also beyond our analysis. Again, that is something जो कि उसके बाद पूरी कह लेंगे साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी एक किस्म के मानती है। बेशक पॉजिटिविस्ट हों या बेशक अपेरेंटली एंटी पॉजिटिविस्ट हों। फॉर एग्जांपल अक्सर मिसाल देते हैं ना कि 20वीं सदी में खासतौर पे जो एक पॉजिटिविज्म की बाकी फिलॉसफीज ऑफ साइंस के साथ जो जंग रही है, दैट हैज बीन मेनली बिटवीन वेरिफिकेशनिज्म एंड फॉल्सिफिकेशनिज्म। द वेरिफिकेशनिज्म ऑफ द पॉजिटिविस्ट फ्रॉम द वियना सर्कल आई वुड से, एंड फॉल्सिफिकेशनिज्म ऑफ द पॉपर्स, कार्ल पॉपर्स, एंड इवन बोथ ऑफ देम आर on a foundational level positivisms. The falsificationism may be an antithesis of the positivism that was being propounded by the Vienna Circle, but it itself is a form of positivism in the sense that it does rely on natural causes for natural phenomena. It does consider that we are now living in a positivist age. ठीक है, दोबारा उस पर आते हैं हम। तो starting with natural philosophy, we come to the stage of मैं इतना भुलक्कड़ हूँ अक्सर कि मैं जो नोट्स साथ लेके आता हूँ मैं ये देखना भूल जाता हूँ। तो आई विल ट्राई कि मैं आई स्टिक टू द स्क्रिप्ट एंड नॉट मूव अराउंड टू मच बिकॉज वी ओनली हैव अबाउट एन आवर एंड अ हाफ। आपके साथ से कोई सवाल हो तो पूछते हैं ताकि मुझे जो है ना थोड़ा डिस्ट्रैक्ट करने वाला भी हो। हाँ बिल्कुल।
मॉडर्न साइंस जो है वो पुरानी साइंस से अलग है, चाहे उसको नाम दें या ना दें। रेने डेकार्ट के बाद जब
पुरानी साइंस से आपको क्या मुराद, कितनी पुरानी?
मतलब उसको नाम नहीं दिया, लेबलिंग नहीं थी उसकी, लेकिन ये कि साइंस के वो सारी चीजें एग्जिस्ट तो करी थी ना वहाँ पे उस वक्त भी। मिसाल के तौर पे अगर तबीयत है, बाकी चीजें थी, सारे डिसिप्लिन, उलूम बाकी भी सारे एग्जिस्ट कर रहे थे। रेने डेकार्ट का जो आइडिया था, आई थिंक देयरफॉर आई एम वाला, उससे स्टार्ट हुआ ट्रेडिशन में खुदा या सुपरनेचुरल का अमल साइड पे करके, तो उससे आगे वेस्ट की सारी वो चीज़ चली जिसमें मॉडर्न साइंस ने फ्लरिश की।
बिल्कुल सही है, बिल्कुल।
अब साइंस खुद ही अपनी डोमेन डिफाइन करती है, द नोन वर्ल्ड, द फिजिकल वर्ल्ड, लेकिन हर वक्त साइंस एक्सटेंड क्यों करती है दूसरों की रिजेक्शन के लिए? मिसाल के तौर पे क्यों पैरेलल चलना पड़ता है कि फिजिकल वर्ल्ड जो सुपरनेचुरल वर्ल्ड है या रीजन है उसको डिस्कार्ड करना जरूरी है? व्हेन साइंस इज क्लेमिंग माय डोमेन इज फिजिकल वर्ल्ड, एक चीज। दूसरा ये कि हर दौर में एक सिविलाइजेशन ड्राइविंग सीट पे रही। किसी टाइम पे इस्लाम थी, कभी रोमन थे, कभी ग्रीक्स थे, आज वेस्टर्न सिविलाइजेशन ये जो चल रही है इस वक्त। तो एक तो ठीक है, ये तो उनकी बर्तरी है, लेकिन इस एंगल से साइंस, जो मॉडर्न साइंस है, इसके एंगल से हर चीज को देखना क्यों जरूरी है?
दोनों बहुत अच्छे सवाल हैं। ठीक है, मेरे पहला तो सवाल ये है कि जो फिजिकल रेल्म है, अगर साइंस उसी से मुतालिक है, तो साइंस स्टिक्स टू द फिजिकल रेल्म, then why does it have to talk about other realms of reality? Why does it have to make claims about, let us say, the non-existence of God or such claims? And secondly, why do we feel compelled to look at the world from the scientific world? Why is there such a compulsion?
बस एक कमेंट ऐड करें और साथ ही क्लेम ये है कि साइंस का जो मोड ऑफ नॉलेज है उसकी ऑन्टोलॉजी और एपिस्टेमोलॉजी डिफरेंट है और बाकी जो 3-4 मोड ऑफ नॉलेज हैं जिसमें रिलीजियस, सुपरनैचुरल है, फिजिकल है, रैशनल मोड है, उसकी ऑन्टोलॉजी एपिस्टेमोलॉजी डिफरेंट है. व्हेन यू हैव डिफाइंड दीस थिंग्स then why to intervene in other areas?
उसके पहले सवाल का जवाब बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है. it is a very interesting question कि why do we have to, if science is about the physical world, then why does it want to make claims about the non-physical world or the metaphysical world? The matter is that there was a time when the physical world was limited itself. There was a time for us mortals, in our daily life, there still is the same time that the physical world is this world of observable things, tables and chairs and walls and doors, etc. Okay. And same was the world of science for some time, for a long time in the past. But that changed about a century and a half ago. And we tried, maybe not really tried, but it happened so, we began to answer questions about deeper things. वही चीजें जो पहले सुपर नेचुरल गिनी जाती थी, जो ऑब्जर्वेबल नहीं थी, जो फिजिकल नहीं थी, वो फिजिकल की डोमेन में दाखिल होना शुरू हो गई. सो मैंने फॉर एग्जांपल आप एटॉमिक फिजिक्स की बात ही कर लें. देयर आर पीपल, बोल्ट्जमैन का नाम सुना ना आपने, तो जो एंट्रोपी का जिनका फॉर्मूला ऑफ एंट्रोपी, तो उनका और अर्नस्ट मार्क दो साइंसदान हैं, अपने कंटेम्परेरीज हैं, और इनका आपस में सबसे बड़ा जो कह लें फ्यूड था ना, जो फिलोसॉफिकल फ्यूड था, वो इस बात पे था कि मैटर एटॉमिक हो सकता है या नहीं हो सकता. मैटर को एटॉमिक या कॉन्टिन्यूअस किस तरह से देखा जाना चाहिए. तो कहने का ये कि फिजिकल रेल्म हैज बीन एक्सपैंडिंग, इट हैज बीन एक्सपैंडिंग नाउ. वी आर लुकिंग एट मेटाफिजिक्स फॉर एग्जाम्पल. At the time of Aristotle and Plato, it mainly was concerned with the nature of space and time. The most important, maybe the most important secular problem that we had in metaphysics was the problem of space and time, which is the most primary category of, things, so to say, entities, which is the most primary one, space or time. Now, science, from the point of view of general relativity, talks a lot about time and space, and not about them separately, but basically about them at the same time. So, मैं कहना क्या चाह रहा हूँ, the progress of science actually does not expand its claim generally. The progress of science has been expanding its domain, has been expanding the realm of the physical. Something which was metaphysical in the past has become now physical because we can talk about it in mathematical and physical terms. So this is why science tends to make claims about things which appear to us religious or appear to us metaphysical or appear to us supernatural. Okay? For example, the whole concept of black hole itself, the name itself, black hole, it has a connotation that we cannot really know anything about it, and yet we know a lot about it because we have made some observations. So we know a lot about the overall structure of the universe now because we have some apparatuses which can be used to do that. So the realm of the physical has been expanding. That is why the realm of the sciences or the domain of science is also expanding. पहली चीज जी
प्लीज
पूछ लें, इसी से मुतालिक है तो पूछ लें.
हाँ इसी से
हाँ,
पूछ लें. My question is, science deals with the question of how, not why, perhaps.
ठीक है, बिल्कुल ठीक.
Does it?
Basically the question of what, I would say.
What and how? Yes, both. But if we talk, when philosophy talks about why, religion talks about why, they are talking about, I think, ideology of the things.
बिल्कुल ठीक है, बिल्कुल ठीक.
Let science start. Why is science then? The same question. If you are not concerned with the causes of the things, why they are.
That is basically second question. That was his second question. Why do we have to look at things from the scientific viewpoint? Okay? So that has a very difficult answer in my opinion. In our culture specifically, पाकिस्तान के कल्चर में, खास मुसलमानों के कल्चर में, it is not really imperative to look at things from a scientific viewpoint. मतलब अभी तक कम से कम ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें मजबूर किया जाता हो कि हम सिर्फ साइंटिफिक व्यू पॉइंट से देखें. मतलब किसी किस्म की एक्सक्लूसिविटी साइंस को या सुपीरियरिटी साइंस को अभी तक यहाँ पे हासिल नहीं है. लेकिन बात वही जो पिछली बार हमने की थी, आपको याद होगा कि सेकुलरिज्म की जो मूवमेंट है उसके साथ साइंस का जो तरीका है ना, मतलब एक जो पॉजिटिव एथिज्म का लफ्ज इस्तेमाल किया था मैंने, मतलब देयर वाज अ टाइम कि एथिज्म वाज स्टिल देयर, बट the argument was that there is not enough evidence for the existence of God, so there is no reason to believe in God. Then there came a time that we had sufficient data or sufficient information, sufficient in the sense that if we're inclined to believe that, then we can believe that, sufficient in that sense, to say that there is evidence that this universe came into being without the intervention of some God. Okay? That was the stage we call positive atheism. तो पॉजिटिव एथिज्म तक पहुंचने के लिए सेकुलरिज्म ने या सेकुलर मूवमेंट ने बड़ा जोर लगाया. ठीक है, उस जोर लगाने के नतीजे में जो एक सिविलाइजेशनल फोर्स उन्होंने हासिल की है, दैट इज समथिंग विच कंपेल्स अस जनरली स्पीकिंग. उसकी सिविलाइजेशनल फोर्स है जो हमें कंपेल करती है, वरना कोई मतलब आइडियोलॉजी होती है ना हर चीज की एक आइडियोलॉजी है. तो साइंस हैज आल्सो बिकम, उस पर भी हम आएंगे, साइंस हैज आल्सो बिकम एन आइडियोलॉजी ऑफ अ काइंड टू सम डिग्री. ठीक है, और पिछली बार हमने जहां पे बात खत्म की थी वो ये थी कि मोस्ट पीपल बिलीव कि साइंटिफिक वर्ल्ड व्यू इज द रीजनेबल वर्ल्ड व्यू और द रैशनल वर्ल्ड व्यू, एंड रिलीजियस वर्ल्ड व्यू इज sort of the irrational or the unreasonable world view.
This is basically a trick of modern science.
बिल्कुल ठीक है. So this is something which does not
even if no supernatural exists, or science does not go in that area.
ठीक है.
We as human beings have different selves. I have my moral self, I have my physical self, I have my material self. So science is not there for progress of my moral self. I am just asking if there is no natural.
Even that has become a contested claim now, you know.
Yes. तो मेरे वो जो अखलाक हैं, मेरी मोरालिटी को साइंस तो ये खुद वहाँ से हट जाती है कि मैं आपके मॉरल्स को हाई नहीं कर सकता, ये मेरी डोमेन नहीं है.
बिल्कुल ठीक है.
लेकिन सुपर नेचुरल को रिफ्यूट करना, उसको रिजेक्ट करने में अपना ट्रिक हर वक्त लड़ाना क्या जरूरी है साइंस का.
मैं वही बता रहा हूँ आपको कि इसके
ऑल अबाउट
इसके फिलोसॉफिकल से ज्यादा आइडियोलॉजिकल कॉजेस हैं.
अगर फॉर एग्जांपल जिस तरह कांट ने जो है नॉमिना को एक्सक्लूड कर दिया और उसकी वजह ये थी कि नोबडी वाज कैपेसिटेटेड टू एड्रेस दैट क्वेश्चन, डज इट मीन कि उसकी कोई एग्जिस्टेंस ही नहीं है? मतलब साइंस ये क्लेम क्यों नहीं करती कि वी आर इनकैपेसिटेटेड सो वी कैन नॉट.
दैट इज व्हाई आई सेड दैट देयर हैज बीन अ प्रोग्रेशन ऑफ sort of trend in science from methodological naturalism to naturalism. There was a time that we only talked about the method of science and that was naturalistic, and it has become sort of a tendency कि we, और इसके पीछे देखिए ना कि अब दिस इज समथिंग कि जो किसी साइंस का क्लेम नहीं है, मतलब एज अ डिसिप्लिन ये साइंस का क्लेम नहीं है. साइंस डज नॉट से एनीथिंग अबाउट what is beyond the physical realm. ठीक है, साइंटिस्ट्स में से दैट, समझ नहीं ना मेरी बात. तो साइंटिस्ट कम फ्रॉम अ कल्चरल और सिविलाइजेशनल मिलियो, आई वुड से, कि जिसकी बुनियाद पे वो इस किस्म के क्लेम्स करते हैं.
But you know there is a problem. Methodology is defined by the people, not people are defined by the methodology. And with this progression, I think we are moving into a sort of tunnel where we are exploring too many things and focusing deeply on one thing. And we have confirmation bias.
बिल्कुल ठीक है.
And we, you know, with our civilization milieu, we try to reinforce what we believe that is true by excluding the other options.
बिल्कुल, आई एम एग्रीइंग विद यू. बिल्कुल ऐसा है कि जो टनल विजन है ना हमारा, वो किसका पैदा किया हुआ? वो साइंस का डिसिप्लिन का पैदा नहीं ऐसा किया हुआ जितना वो साइंस के प्रैक्टिशनर्स का पैदा किया.
But science is something, it is not, you know, something that is not human enterprise. Science is a human enterprise, so it has no independent existence.
आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है, मैं समझ रहा हूँ.
Accept it in a totality that it is something very innocent of all these.
ये तो मेरा ख्याल है पिछले सेशन का ना पहला जो जुमला जहाँ से हमने शुरू किया था वो यही था कि हमारे यहाँ पे आमतौर पे साइंटिस्ट में भी और both scientists and civilians, so to say, everybody believes that science is a very rigid and a very definite category, and it cannot be tampered with, and it is something, you know, sacred to say the least. Okay? It is something that has to be preserved now, at least as a method. Okay? And of course, आज का मकसद ये है कि we'll look through the history of evolution of the method of science and see that there have been very different opinions about this. There have been very different understandings of how science really progresses. Okay? Or why the scientific method, if taken to be a stationary or taken to be a very fixed method, can actually go against science itself. Okay? Because जो मॉडर्निज्म है ना, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मॉडर्निज्म का क्लेम है वो प्रोग्रेस का क्लेम, ठीक है. तो इफ साइंस बिकम्स एज अ मेथड, इफ इट बिकम्स स्टैग्नेंट और इफ मेथड इट बिकम्स फिक्स्ड, तो उसका प्रोग्रेस का क्लेम एक फाउंडेशनल लेवल पे खुद जो है ना उसको हिट होता है.
Science have discarded this idea of progress.
नहीं, इट हैज नॉट. मतलब अपेरेंटली ऐसे ही लगता है क्योंकि आपको पॉपुलर मीडिया में ऐसे ही लगता है, लेकिन बेसिकली इट हैज नॉट. बट मेरी ओपिनियन में इट हैज स्टिल
Climate problems and First World War, Second World War, all these things were a reputation of progress.
You can say they were reputation of
At least
progress.
philosophers of science tend to be, there is a book I think
But
that
it
was
has not become modern. Bruno Latour.
yes, Bruno Latour, and there was another book that talks about the degeneration of Western civilization. Since this project was started from the time of Enlightenment, the idea of progress, that it is linear and it is forward, moving forward.
Like again वही बात कि मतलब the idea of degeneration itself is such an idea कि somebody would, for example, degeneration can be looked at from the moral point of view, it can be looked at from the technological point of view, it can be looked at from the industrial point of view, so on and so forth.
The technological and industrial.
आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है. खास तौर पे जब हम अभी थॉमस कून पे आते हैं तो we will see it. Even थॉमस कून का जो पैराडाइम्स ऑफ साइंस का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू बिल्कुल वो आपने सोशल साइंसेस के ज्यादा शायद लोग हों साइंसेस के, नहीं भी हैं तो फोकू का जो डिस्कोर्स का है ना कॉन्सेप्ट, दैट इज वेरी सिमिलर टू द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ पैराडाइम इन साइंस. मतलब there is sort of a vocabulary of science that exists at one point in time, and we have to use that vocabulary to make sense to other scientists.
Right.
Okay? And that is what I'm calling the civilizational force of science, which is, due to the fact that secular atheistic ideology has used science since the beginning of this modern scientific enterprise as a tool of,
So basically,
making sense about positive atheistic statements.
So basically, it's a battle between a powerful civilization.
You can say yes.
And other civilization.
You can say.
Now the normal science is Western science. And other normal science.
Normal science, you can say yes. The normal science is, in Newtonian terms, yes, it is the Western science. You can say. But let us come back to our starting point again.
Just a quick thing.
Yeah, sure.
आप जब हिस्ट्री कहते हैं तो आप किस टाइमलाइन को शेयर करें?
हिस्ट्री, साइंस की हिस्ट्री की बात जब करते हैं तो मैं जब मॉडर्न साइंस की हिस्ट्री करता हूँ दैट इज 1850s के बाद की साइंस. उससे पहले की जो साइंस है उसे हम नेचुरल फिलोसफी कहेंगे. मतलब सो देयर इज दिस बाइफिकेशन बिटवीन साइंस एंड मैथमेटिक्स. बहरहाल तो पॉजिटिविज्म की बात हो रही थी, और पॉजिटिविज्म का जाहिर है कि क्लेम ही है कि क्या कहना चाहिए कि वही मतलब पॉजिटिविज्म एक सिर्फ मेथड की फिलॉसफी नहीं है. जो आप बात कर रहे हैं उससे बिल्कुल जुड़ी बात है कि पॉजिटिविज्म इज नॉट जस्ट अ फिलॉसफी ऑफ मेथड ऑफ साइंस, इट इज अ फिलॉसफी ऑफ मीनिंग इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, इस वजह से अभी तक ये करंट्स इसमें चल रहे हैं. तो पॉजिटिविज्म वाज नॉट जस्ट अ विंडिकेशन ऑफ द मेथड ऑफ साइंस, इट वाज समथिंग दैट अंडरमाइंड एनी अदर क्लेम, मतलब एनी क्लेम व्हिच वाज नॉट साइंटिफिक. ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेटाफिजिक्स के अगेंस्ट जो पॉजिटिविस्ट का एक महाज था वो बिल्कुल इसी बुनियाद पर कायम था कि एनी मेटाफिजिकल स्टेटमेंट इज बेसिकली डिवॉइड ऑफ मीनिंग एंड हेंस आल्सो डिवॉइड ऑफ ट्रुथ.
For example, logic, it's a well-established discipline in Islamic tradition at least. Like it tries to explain the religious precepts. And like it talks
Logic
about
in what
reasoning.
way?
Like it talks about reasoning behind the religious precepts.
ठीक है.
So I don't know like how established it is in the Islamic tradition or not, but I think there is like some sort of emphasis on that as well. Like there are people who have been trying in the Islamic tradition to understand these religious precepts with logic. Like,
That is not an issue at all. Matlab, that is something that all religions have been doing for definitely long periods of time. लेकिन मसला positivism की जो हम बात करें वो ये कि positivism says that this method of logic itself should only be applied to those statements या those propositions या those observations which actually make sense to us. And making sense for them means which have some empirical meaning. ठीक है, empirical meaning, by empirical meaning we mean that something is observable, something is either directly or indirectly observable, and something can be deduced from that observation. Okay. Positivism is, this is why we have this discussion in the first place, I think. कि क्यों साइंटिस्ट ने सिर्फ यही क्यों नहीं क्लेम किया कि भाई ये एक मेथड है, साइंस में सिर्फ यही मेथड चलेगा, बाकी आप जो मर्जी करें. उन्होंने ये क्यों क्लेम करना शुरू कर दिया कि बाकी जो मर्जी आप करेंगे वो फजूली होगा. ठीक है, तो तभी मैंने कांट से शुरू की थी बात कि कांट ने यही कहा था कि बाकी जो मर्जी करें उसका कोई, इट डजंट मेक सेंस, वी कैन नॉट रियली नो, we can only know this part. So they said that the only reality there is, or the only meaningful thing there is, that which we can know. Okay? From the positivist viewpoint, we can know only empirically. We can know only from an empirical process of reasoning or empirical process of observation. So there is no sense in talking about things which are not empirically observable. Okay? So that is the first point, logical positivism itself. That is the first point के जहाँ पे, लेकिन interestingly there is an interesting क्या कहना चाहिए development here कि right when logical positivists were making claims about the naturalistic nature of reality, science itself was progressing in a very weird direction. ठीक है, मतलब the only वो interpretation के मौजूद में जब हम जाएंगे तो we will try to look at that. लेकिन ये कि these two things were happening at once, and that is why some from within the scientific community, some philosophers of science actually challenged positivism, yeah, logical positivism to be precise, as a legitimate way of looking at knowledge, or a legitimate way of determining the truth of things. Okay? This is an interesting मेरा ख्याल है कि fact that we have to keep in mind, an interesting historical fact that we should keep in mind. खास तौर पे दोनों साथ साथ जो डेवलपमेंट्स हुई क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स की भी और जनरल रिलेटिविटी की, थ्योरी ऑफ रिलेटिविटी और क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स, बोथ ऑफ देम वर सो काउंटर इंट्यूटिव. ठीक है, मतलब क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स के बारे में कहते हैं कि इफ यू थिंक यू हैव अंडरस्टूड इट देन यू हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड इट. ठीक है, बिकॉज इट इज काउंटर इंट्यूटिव. काउंटर इंट्यूटिव इन द सेंस कि जो आपकी जनरल डेली लाइफ ऑब्जर्वेशंस हैं या जो डेली लाइफ आपका एम्पिरिकल एक इंफॉर्मेशन आपके ज़हन में पड़ी है ना, दैट गोज टोटली अगेंस्ट इट. ठीक है, देन इट हैज सम implications as well, जो कि हम इंटरप्रिटेशन वाले उसमें पढ़ेंगे कि मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल वेव पार्टिकल ड्युअलिटी का बड़ा बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है. पार्टिकल्स start to behave like waves, and waves sometimes behave like particles, and at the fundamental level there are no particles at all, for example. That is another claim of quantum mechanics. So that is something which talked about the truth of, or the meaning of things, right when we were talking about the truth and meaning of scientific theories from the positivist viewpoint. ठीक है, तो मतलब ये कि जो समझ आ रही मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे खुद भी नहीं आ रही.
नहीं, आपकी इस चीज से मुझे हजरत इब्राहिम की नॉट एज अ मुस्लिम बट बियॉन्ड द रिलीजन्स, क्योंकि ये एग्जांपल उनकी बहुत ज्यादा लोगों ने इस पे रिसर्च की, जब उन्होंने सूरज और चांद और उन सब चीजों के बारे में कंक्लूजन ड्रॉ की. इट्स बीन डाइसेक्टेड बाय ऑल. बिल्कुल ऐसा. सो ये तीनों जो है दे टेल अस दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली आर वी टॉकिंग.
बिल्कुल ऐसा, बिल्कुल ऐसा. मतलब इफ यू go deeper and go deeper and deeper, so there is some level at which you will be unable to talk about meaning and truth, because then it all becomes potential. Then it all becomes a potential sort of reality, and not reality as
was described in Quran. This example is the biggest example.
बिल्कुल ऐसा. मतलब इंडक्टिव रीजनिंग की अगर आप पैगंबरों में एग्जांपल लें तो इंडक्टिव रीजनिंग की एग्जांपल ये मिलती है आपको कि ये चांद है, ये सूरज है, ये सितारे हैं, मतलब ये मेरे क्यों खुदा नहीं हो सकते, क्योंकि ये तो गुरूब होने वाले, खत्म होने वाले. तो देयर हैज टू बी अ प्राइमरी कॉज दैट caused all of these.
Even if you don't take him as a prophet and take him as a human being observing the natural phenomenon.
But I think still you have to have some, prophetic insight to, go on that side. There are many ways to go about this problem, but of course. So मेरी समझ आ रही है. Just to summarize, कि लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म को हम एक कह लें अहम टर्निंग पॉइंट क्यों लेते हैं फिलॉसफी में, फिलॉसफी ऑफ साइंस में खास तौर पे, कि इट डिड नॉट जस्ट मेक क्लेम्स अबाउट द नेचुरलिस्टिक मेथड और द मेथोडोलॉजिकल नेचुरलिस्टिक aspect of science. It also made claims about naturalism in essence. The only reality that can be made sense of, the only reality that has meaning, the only reality that can be talked about in the terms of truth is physical reality. Okay? And yeah.
So interestingly, the claims it makes about the reality of physical reality, these claims in itself are obviously not part of the physical reality.
Exactly.
So it's there's some kind of
self-reference, you can say. So that was the first criticism that anybody aimed at positivists. How is that claim about the nature of reality verifiable? Because one of the defining features of positivist philosophy is that every statement that you make, any claim that you make, should be verifiable. The principle of verification. If it is not verifiable at that point in time, at least it should be in principle verifiable. In the future, let's say when we have some technology to measure such things or detect such things, then at least it should be verifiable. But this claim about claim that things should be verifiable, that itself is not verifiable. You see, so that is why we have philosophy of science in the first place. So this claim is philosophical, not scientific itself. Similar is the case with falsificationism. We have a philosophy of science now. The dominant philosophy of science is now Popper's falsificationism. ऐसा ही है ना? मतलब कि okay, verification का तो मतलब ये है कि we will be looking for things which will confirm our theory, which will confirm our hypothesis. So rather than looking for things which confirm our hypothesis, we should be actually looking for things which falsify it or nullify it. उसका फायदा क्या होगा? उसका advantage ये होगा कि based on some set of observations, we will have a hypothesis, and that hypothesis would be constantly in a state of progress, so to say. So that is sort of a dialectical way of looking at scientific progress. That by being falsified, we'll come up with by falsifying one hypothesis, we'll come up with some other hypothesis, and by falsifying that, we'll come up with other. And in that way, scientific theorizing will improve itself, constantly, keep on improving itself. Okay? So that claim itself is not falsifiable at all. That science should be based on falsificationism is a proposition that is not falsifiable. That is, of course, an example of why philosophy of science is important, and why philosophy of science is a very dynamic field, a very constantly changing field. Okay? Anything anyone wants to add to your right? जी
वो ये है कि जिस तरह फिलोसफी की आपने बात की, पहले पॉजिटिविज्म आया, उन्होंने कहा कि रियलिटी एक है, रियलिटी सिंगल रियलिटी इज आउट देयर. लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म, many realities out there with their own contexts and conditions. उसके बाद कार्ल पॉपर्स falsifiability, कि वो चीजें साइंटिफिक कंसीडर होंगी जो falsified होंगी.
ठीक है.
अब इस पूरे साइंटिफिक एंडीवर के अंदर ये चीज हम कैसे फिक्स कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि अगर falsifiability है तो कल को एक नई थ्योरी आएगी अपने डिफाइंड डेटा के साथ, सो previous theory जो वो discard हो जाएगी.
देखिए basically,
so somewhere we have to stop or somewhere we have to fix कि कौन सी theory. अब एक ये तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे कोई साइंस का, मॉडर्न साइंस का लेटेस्ट प्रोडक्ट है जो हर कोई इसमें आ नहीं सकता, और आपको ये पता नहीं चलेगा कि एक ही टॉपिक के ऊपर 10 theories आई हैं, उनमें से कौन सी वैलिड है. So if it is valid by its own time under the falsifiability rule, तो ये तो सर्कुलर सा
देखिए falsification जो है बेसिकली मुतालिक है demarcation problem की, या कह लें कि it is about the definition of science, what we can call science and what we have to call non-science. ठीक है. कई लोग non-science को nonsense भी कहते हैं. मतलब I have heard scientists who just because there is this possible play of words here, they call non-science nonsense.
It will be reversed when a new civilization was.
मतलब कहने का मतलब ये है कि falsificationism या verificationism is not basically about what the theory says in general. Okay? Of course, it does talk about that later on, but principally it says it discusses the nature of claims that it is making. For example, if I am making a claim about let's say a claim about the existence of jinns, ठीक है ना, from Islamic point of view या बहुत सारे religious domains हैं वहाँ पे, तो जिन जो हैं, जो spirits हैं, जो ghosts हैं, वो exist करते हैं. Now this is a claim which cannot be verified, even verification के point of view से, and this is also a claim which cannot be falsified either. But if I claim कि I have a jinn that does this for me, ठीक है, तो nobody can falsify my claim because there is no way of observing it. ठीक है, तो साइंस की डेफिनेशन से मुतालिक है falsification की जो philosophy, that is basically about the definition of science. कि what would qualify as science and what would qualify as either bad science or pseudo science or non science at all. ठीक है, तो उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप जो है ना कॉन्स्टेंटली हाइपोथेसिस जनरेट इसीलिए कर रहे होंगे कि उनको आपने फॉल्सिफाई करना है. ये उसके इंटरनल कह लें एक जो नेचर है सिर्फ उससे मुताल्लिक है कि आप आप कोई अगर थ्योरी प्रपोज करते हैं तो ऐसी थ्योरी होनी चाहिए कि जो पोटेंशियली फॉल्सिफाइबल हो, इन प्रिंसिपल फॉल्सिफाइबल हो. कम से कम इन प्रिंसिपली फॉल्सिफाइबल होने का मतलब ये है कि वो कुछ ऐसे ऑब्जर्वेशंस देगी, ऐसी पोटेंशियल ऑब्जर्वेशंस सजेस्ट करेगी कि जो उसके खिलाफ भी जा सकती हैं, जो उसको जस्टिफाई भी कर सकती हैं. ठीक है, मतलब कोई ऐसी मेजरमेंट, कोई ऐसी ऑब्जर्वेशन वो सजेस्ट करेगी कि जो या तो उसे प्रूव कर देगी या उसको निगेट कर देगी. अगर कोई ऐसी थ्योरी होगी जिसको निगेट करने का कोई तरीका ही ना हो तो वो साइंटिफिक थ्योरी नहीं होगी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल पॉपर जो थे वो साइको एनालिसिस की एग्जाम्पल देते थे. उसमें फ्रॉइड का जो साइको एनालिसिस था उसकी एग्जाम्पल देते हैं कि साइको एनालिसिस नॉट साइंटिफिक because the claims we make in psychoanalysis about the nature of unconscious are not scientific, are not falsifiable. So he used to call them conjectures only, basically he called it pseudoscience, that looks like science but it's not science. We are running experiments. For example, word association की और इस किस्म के जो methods हैं Freud के, they are experiments on subjects, actual subjects, but they are not experiments in the sense that they are looking for data that would falsify them. They start with some preconception of what that experiment is going to yield, and then look for things which will yield that result.
Same is the problem with falsification.
बिल्कुल ऐसा, बिल्कुल ऐसा.
Because without prior knowledge, you cannot falsify things. You have to be aware of some scientific.
बिल्कुल ऐसा.
This is problematic, I think.
हाँ बिल्कुल. एक चीज है जिसे आप कहते हैं theory ladenness. That every observation is basically theory laden. थ्योरी लेने का मतलब है कि हम सब लोगों ने कम से कम छोटी क्लासेस में ना फिजिक्स के, बायोलॉजी के ये एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए हैं, लैब्स में एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए. अब उन एक्सपेरिमेंट्स में वी आर ऑलरेडी गिवन द वेरिएबल्स which we are going to study, which we are going to relate to each other. Okay, you keep this thing fixed and you change this value. ठीक है ना, we are already driven by theory that if this is fixed then this is dependent on this thing. And वो तो कहने सिर्फ समझने की वजह से एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हैं. एवरी एक्सपेरिमेंट जो कटिंग एज एक्सपेरिमेंट्स भी है उसमें जो ये डिसीजन है कि विच वेरिएबल वी आर गोइंग टू मेजर अगेंस्ट विच वेरिएबल, दैट इटसेल्फ इज theory laden, that itself is dictated by theory rather than which justifies theory itself. Because there are of course things like this, और वो मेरा ख्याल है कि सोशल साइंसेज में शायद उससे भी ज्यादा नजर आती है. तो जरा आप सोशल साइंसेज में इफ यू आर डिजाइनिंग अ सर्वे लेटर से, तो those research questions that you come up with, they focus on some very specific variables or aspects of your research. The decision that this is the aspect of this research that I'm going to look at, that is theory laden, because there is some preconception of what is dependent on what, and that preconception is going to decide कि this is the research question. बिल्कुल ऐसा, that is true. Theory ladenness itself is a big topic in this, और मेरा ख्याल है कि उसमें कोई ऐसा इख्तलाफ नहीं है. लेकिन बहुत सारे लोग हैं, मतलब बहुत सारे साइंटिस्ट हैं, they would ignore this aspect because they rely on consistency. मतलब they think if there is a new observation which is not being explained by existing theory, So that is an instance of falsification, so to say. That is something that this theory does not explain now. So what we have to do is either discard this theory or adjust it to the extent that it begins to explain that observation. So that it's in principle falsification of one hypothesis in favor of the other, and that other itself can be in the long run maybe falsified. Lekin of course even experiment design is dictated by theory. Theory designs the experiment, and experiment determines what things would be observable and what things would not be observable, and that is why आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है. कोई और anything else? मैं वैसे बहुत दूर दूर निकल जाता हूँ, क्या जो आजकल वो चल रहा है ना, मकूला के गुस्से में इधर उधर निकल जाता हूँ, तो मैं खुद इधर उधर निकल जाता हूँ. Let us come back and focus a bit on Thomas Kuhn, because that is the fourth stage in my opinion कि जिसपे साइंस की आके दोबारा से एक उसकी फिलॉसफी को रिकंसिडर किया हमने कि व्हाट इज इट अबाउट. थॉमस कुन का नाम सबने सुना होगा, बिकॉज ही इज कॉमन टू सोशल साइंसेज एंड फिजिकल साइंसेज एट द सेम टाइम. He defined, he described the progress of science or the enterprise of science as something which is as socially determined as any other socially depending, socially determined enterprise like economy or politics. तो उसका सबसे पहला मेरा ख्याल जो क्लेम है जो उसको समझने के लिए जरूरी है, he talks about the terminology that scientists use. He talks about the basic way of seeing things in a certain domain. So for example, science की जब आप बात करेंगे तो mathematics would be the key here. Mathematics would be the language in which we make scientific propositions. Now mathematical terms themselves have been defined by the scientific community. You see, for example, आपने सब mathematics का है किसी का background? Anybody? Mathematics, for example, is highly abstract now. Theoretical physics जिसे आप कहते हैं, theoretical physics is mainly mathematics. It's just mathematics, and that mathematics, that it is mathematics means that the mathematical terms that we're writing as symbols are basically representations of actual things, actual objects which we observe in the experimental part of doing science. For example, if there are some energies and if there are some wavelengths and if there are some vibrations, they're all being just symbolically written in mathematical language, and that is yielding our vocabulary, our scientific vocabulary that we are using in such a way. जैसे आम लैंग्वेज आप सोसाइटी में यूज करते हैं, बिल्कुल उसी तरह से मैथमेटिकल लैंग्वेज आप साइंटिफिक सोसाइटी में फॉर एग्जांपल यूज करते हैं. ठीक है, तो पहली चीज तो ये कि जिसे आप एग्जिस्टिंग एक पैराडाइम कहते हैं. देयर इज अ पैराडाइम ऑफ व्यूइंग योर डिसिप्लिन इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, वो ये कहता है कि ऐसा नहीं होता कि अक्सर जो साइंटिफिक प्रोग्रेस है दैट रन्स ऑन फॉल्सिफिकेशनिज्म और दैट इज ड्रिवन बाय फॉल्सिफिकेशन. ऐसा नहीं है कि इट इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ सिस्टमैटिक वे ऑफ टू एंड फ्रो दैट वी हैव अ हाइपोथेसिस और अ थ्योरी एंड देन इट्स फॉल्सिफाइड एंड देन वी हैव अ न्यू थ्योरी सो ऑन. नो, इट हैपेंस सो दैट वन पैराडाइम is a dominant paradigm at a time, and then that paradigm becomes a bit deficient and falls into a crisis of sorts. Why? Because there are some observations which are not which cannot be explained by that existing paradigm, that existing dominant paradigm. इसकी सबसे बड़ी मिसाल आप ले लें क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स की, क्वांटम फिजिक्स के एग्जाम्पल. There was a classical physics, and then when quantum physics was being formulated at the end of the 19th century, it was highly unlikely for people to for actually scientists to believe that this can be the case. You hardly found anyone who would believe that okay, this is the case, that okay, we have some quantized levels of energy rather than a continuous spectrum of energy like we had in the classical sense. And particles can be waves and waves can be particles, and there are levels of energy जहाँ पे the particularity of matter disappears altogether. It was very counterintuitive, and yet it came into force with with a force that was revolutionary to say the least. And classical mechanics became sort of very specific discipline of science rather than being a very general, very an umbrella discipline of science that it was before. ठीक है? मतलब हुआ क्या कि one paradigm, a dominant paradigm, fell into a crisis, trying to explain something, basically trying to explain some thermodynamical phenomena, and a new paradigm, a new set of theories, a new way of looking at things emerged, and it replaced it. Okay? Now, when classical mechanics can be inferred from the principle of quantum mechanics, you know, but the quantum mechanics is not now separate from classical mechanics. Classical mechanics is just can now be driven from, can be inferred from quantum mechanics itself. So, at the fundamental level, quantum mechanics is there, but when average behavior of things is observed, and you know things are observed in large numbers, very large numbers, so they approximate classical mechanics as it was before quantum mechanics. Okay? So there we had a paradigm which changed our view of matter and energy and you know the nature of physical reality itself. So he talks about how this crisis itself is something which is internally driven. मतलब internally driven क्यों होता है कि mathematical language for example अगर आप use कर रहे हैं तो उस language के नतीजे टाइम क्या हुआ है उस language के इस्तेमाल करने के नतीजे में there is some way of doing science or some way of doing research that is permissible, and there are some other ways which are not permissible, right? So when that crisis of paradigm happens, so that newer way of looking at things become permissible, which was not permissible before. Just like it happens in the social life, that some things which were not considered appropriate at some time in the past, they are now considered appropriate. Just like that, scientific paradigm is very similar to, as I already said, the Foucauldian discourse, जिसमें आप epistemes की बात करते हैं कि there is a knowledge system. उस नॉलेज सिस्टम के अपने डायनामिक्स हैं, उसकी अपनी वोकैबुलरी है, उसका अपना तरीका है किसी एक्सपीरियंस को डिस्क्राइब करने का. अभी पहले ये शुरू होने से पहले बात हो रही थी कि देयर आर सम वर्ड्स व्हिच वी कैन नॉट इग्नोर बिकॉज दोज आर सम स्पेसिफिक वर्ड्स व्हिच define or describe religious experience in the Islamic sense, for example. Similarly, there are many words which are peculiar to one discipline or another discipline, which are peculiar to one time period and to another time period. The vocabulary जो है आपकी language है, that is a big indicator of how our thinking is regularized, our thinking is regulated in the sense that it has a certain limit on meaning itself. उसी तरह से sciences में होता है. The whole discourse of science itself becomes the limit within which science has to operate. And until and unless that those limits are breached in a sense that we fall into a crisis, we stick to them. It's not a bad thing that we stick to them, but Kuhn's point of view is कि ऐसा नहीं होता कि they just keep on expanding gradually. ऐसा होता है कि there is a breach occasionally and we have to rely on some new way of looking at things to explain things. ठीक है, जैसे सोसाइटीज में होता है एक जैसे मतलब जंगें हुई हैं तो जंगें बड़ी बड़ी कुछ जंगें हुई हैं, वर्ल्ड वॉर्स हुई हैं, तो उसके नतीजे में we now view things differently, and there are some turning points in history. Similarly, there are some turning points in the history of sciences. Kuhn, for example, Copernicus का जो revolution है उसकी example दे देंगे. At the time when it was being conceived, the Copernicus model of looking at the stars, it was as probable as the Ptolemaic model. It was very similar in terms of reliability. It had no advantage in the sense कि वो ज़्यादा चीज़ें explain नहीं करता था, but it took some revolutionary scientists, revolutionary experimenters to actually establish that this has better explanatory power. Now explanatory power itself is something contentious कि वो क्या होती है क्या नहीं होती, तो वो साइंस की डोमेन में कह लें कि एक्सप्लेनेटरी पावर के साथ जुड़ी हुई चीज़ है कि कम से कम assumptions में अगर आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा predictions कर सकते हैं तो that will be called the power of explanation, power of explaining things. And that was the reason why Copernicus model prevailed in the long run, because it was simpler than Ptolemaic model and it made better predictions about the orbits of things. ठीक है, तो कोई मसला नहीं है.
और फिर हमने आदम को सब चीजों के इसम सिखाया.
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, that is how it is. मतलब पिछली बार ये बात हुई थी कि बेसिकली in my point of view, although many people would not agree with me, but in my point of view, it comes down to language. You know, religious language is ambiguous and vague, to say the least. Even for people who follow the same religion, it becomes difficult to, you know, find a common ground on how to define a certain term. But the advantage of science is that it has mathematics as its language. And at least about a century ago, mathematics was a very precise language. But now we have a different place. Because just like religious concepts become increasingly abstract with time, scientific concepts have also become increasingly abstract. And the moment they become abstract, they become, you know, they are given to interpretation now, varying interpretation. And that is why we have different interpretations of general relativity. That is why we have different interpretations of quantum mechanics. That is why we have different interpretations of the scientific method itself. Okay? Observables kya hain? Non-observables kya hain? There are things which can be observed, but what is the definition of observing something? We have a variable in mathematical terms which can be observed, but to what degree can it be observed? What is that we observe can be called that this variable has been observed? Or to what degree that representation of some idea is actually concrete in the sense that it actually corresponds to something? So that because mathematics itself is becoming, or not now, for quite a long time now, it has increasingly become abstract. So these things are also appearing in scientific community as well. So this is why I believe it comes down to the problem of language. The language of religion has been vague and has been abstract since the beginning. पिछली बार बात हुई थी एक्सपीरियंस की, कि जो एक सब्जेक्टिव एक्सपीरियंस का इसमें एलिमेंट पाया जाता है, खासतौर पे जो सूफिया हैं, औलिया हैं, उनके नज़दीक, तो सब्जेक्टिव होने की वजह से, उस एक्सपीरियंस का एक हद तक सब्जेक्टिव होने की वजह से उस वोकैबुलरी का यूनिवर्सल होना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है। जी जी,
ये जो पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म और पोस्ट स्ट्रक्चरलिज्म के बाद ये सारी आई बहस टेक्स्ट के हवाले से, ठीक है, कोई भी चीज़ है उसका टेक्स्ट, उसकी इंटरप्रिटेशन, उसके बाद ये शुरू हुआ। सो इट्स नॉट ओनली अबाउट द लैंग्वेज ऑफ रिलीजन, इट्स एवरीवेयर।
आम जो नेचुरल लैंग्वेज जिसे आप कहते हैं ना, जैसे नेचुरल लैंग्वेज क्या है, दैट इज एम्बिगुअस बाय डेफिनेशन।
सोशल साइंसेज एंड पॉलिटिकल डोमेन्स, everywhere language,
because social sciences use the same language that religion uses, मतलब mathematics is a very different language, ठीक है ना, उसकी भी ग्रामर उसी तरह जैसे आम लैंग्वेजेस की होती है, लेकिन उसमें हमने अपना स्कोप बहुत लिमिटेड रखा हुआ है।
Even I think now wars are waged under language.
The issue of free speech itself is something that is closely related with
एक डिस्कोर्स क्रिएट करते हैं और वो भी मीडिया के थ्रू और सारा, तो आपको अपनी लैंग्वेज को ही बेसिकली बिना बनाते आप अटैक भी कर रहे हैं।
Even the things that we now hear about, you know, humor and, you know, comedians, and, you know, there have been controversies about comedians. So that is also centered around the use of language, how it is perceived by some people, how it is perceived by some other people.
The most dangerous thing was
हमारे कराची वालों ने क्या नहीं किया जुबान के पीछे।
वो आज ये जो है क्या जो ये मैथमेटिक्स का ambiguous होना, वो इस वजह से कि रियलिटी जो है उसको कम्प्रीहेंड करना इवन फॉर साइंटिस्ट से कहते हैं बहुत सिंपल लेवल, या जिसे कहते हैं ना, जो साइंस की सारे बेसिक जिसमें ये कि इट शुड बी वेरी सिंपल, उसको रियलिटी इज मच बिगर than the scientists anticipated.
बिल्कुल सही।
और now they are finding themselves grappling with the problem कि इसको किस तरह बयान करें।
बिल्कुल सही।
तो शायद ये भी हो सकता है कि in future मैथमेटिक्स जो है या जो साइंस है उतनी ही ambiguous हो जाए, उतनी ही
हो चुकी है वैसे भाई,
नहीं हो चुकी तो नहीं है, लेकिन
होगा जितनी रिलीजन था तो वो कहते ना ये सारा रियलिटी
फुल सर्कल वापस आ जाएगा,
वापस आ जाए वहीं पे हम।
मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक आर्गुमेंट होता है ना कि इवन टॉकिंग अबाउट यूनिफिकेशन ऑफ फोर्सेस, यू नो, सॉर्ट ऑफ गोइंग बैक टू द आइडिया ऑफ यूनिटी, बट मतलब दैट इज अ वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट इट इन माय ओपिनियन। मतलब साइंटिस्ट वुड नॉट लुक एट इट, साइंटिस्ट वुड लुक एट इट from the point of view that we are trying to establish the most fundamental principle of the physical world here. We're trying to, you know, find that out. And of course, if it is most fundamental, then it has to be one. बिल्कुल ठीक है. लेकिन from religious point of view, that would look like, you know, some metaphysical way of looking at things. Okay? If we are looking at the most fundamental, the primary cause of things, the primary principle which operates everything, then basically we're looking at what we can call a concept of God. We are trying to establish what God is. You know, बिल्कुल सही बात है आपकी. लेकिन बात वही है कि साइंस में जब भी ऐसा कोई मसला पैदा हुआ है ना, तो साइंस के पास जो लैंग्वेज थी उसमें ये कैपेसिटी कम से कम थी कि उसको ट्रंकेट किया जा सकता था. मतलब we could manage the language of science. So mathematics was, because it was, although all languages are made by us, but mathematics was constructed in a very constrained environment, in a very supervised fashion, and that is why to manage it was very easy compared to other languages, compared to natural languages, so to say. And that is why I think whenever there is कहना चाहिए a spike of ambiguity there, so they will try to manage it and bring it back to minimal ambiguity and minimal vagueness. This is why I think the two domains will remain separate, and the discussion would always revolve around whether science's claim of rationality is basically justifiable or not. Because हमारे शुरू यहीं से हुई थी बात कि जो foundational principles हैं वो खुद scientific claims नहीं हैं बल्कि वो philosophical claims. So we have taken those principles at face value. We have taken them on faith. We have believed them on faith. In the religious term, we have taken them on faith. There is a reality that is observable. This is faith. There have been thought experiments about whether we are actually human beings or not, whether we are actually just hallucinating or not. We have had such discussions in the past. So just to believe that this physical world is there, it exists, and it is given to observation, that is a faith-based position. The whole inductive reasoning process that we actually try to verify or falsify theories, that is a faith-based process. You know, as long as it is working, it is working. Okay, when it doesn't work, then we have to either adjust our theory or we have to, find a new thing. It is a faith-based position. Pakistan की टीम बेचारी जाती है ना खेलने, so even if, let us say, in 2020 Pakistan cricket team has been winning continuously for the last 10 matches, but still to believe that it will win the 11th match as well is something based on faith. Okay? But still it has some justification behind it. The point is that faith is not unreasonable essentially. Faith is not unreasonable. But if it is, then science is also faith-based. So all domains of human knowledge are to some degree faith-based. So that is why they are unreasonable equally in some way. But of course some have the power of articulation better than the other domains, and this is why we say science is rational and religion is not rational. ठीक है, बादल आगे चलते हैं. एक आखिरी जो इसमें बात कर, टाइम कितना हो गया? ज़्यादा तो नहीं मैंने
वाइंड अप करना
बोल लिया. हाँ,
6.
My goodness, I was supposed to finish at 6. But yeah, I was. So there is just one example that we can actually just quote here, and people can go and just look it up themselves. That is the example of what we call epistemological anarchism. Paul Feyerabend का नाम सुना होगा आपने, for example. He's a philosopher of science as well as social science as well. He talked about how science has become an ideology. Okay? So science, if there is a claim in science that it is, it is a progressive enterprise, then it should not define its method. Uska claim ye. It should not define its method at all. And he also gives examples of scientists. They are not really using scientific method as such when they are, doing experiments. They are relying on some common sense things. They are relying on some, occasional insights that, come to them कि अच्छा इसको इस तरह से भी किया जा सकता है, ठीक है? So they are neither relying on theory which they are trying to falsify or verify, nor they are trying to, religiously follow the scientific method. They are just doing things arbitrarily, doing things, creatively. the science of experimentation itself is an art, it's not science. Because I have worked mostly in experimental science, so you really feel it while doing it. The experimental science is not really science, it's an art. To design an experiment, it is an art. Okay. To actually run an experiment, it is an art. To try to minimize any other interferences with your experiment, it is an art. How you try to, arrange things, that's an art. So that creative aspect of science, which makes it a human enterprise, that should also be taken into account while discussing science as a discipline, while trying to make claims about the progressive nature of science, because otherwise it would not remain progressive. So that is something मेरा ख्याल है कि आपको पढ़ना चाहिए जाके इसमें, because I have already taken more time than I should have. So I would like not to talk too much about it. लेकिन Paul Feyerabend जो है उनकी anarchism is a very interesting take on the nature of any epistemological undertaking. मतलब कोई भी सोशल साइंसेस हो, मतलब इकोनॉमिक्स हो, पब्लिक पॉलिसी जैसे टॉपिक्स पे इवन उन्होंने बात की है, तो मतलब दैट इज समथिंग कि वो किसी भी साइंटिफिक वर्ल्ड व्यू को जेब नहीं देती कि अपने लिए मेथड डिफाइन करना शुरू करते हैं. इट शुड रिलाई मोर ऑन द इनहेरेंट क्रिएटिविटी ऑफ पीपल हु आर डूइंग इट, हु आर एक्चुअली पार्ट ऑफ दैट सिस्टम. ठीक है. देयर इज वन जस्ट लास्ट थिंग जो आई वांट टू mention in passing, and that is because somebody mentioned, अभी आपने शायद mention किया था कि हमारे पास 8 theories हों या 10 theories हों तो हम कैसे choose करेंगे कौन सी theory. So that itself is a problem in science, जिसे हम problem of theory choice कहते हैं. ठीक है. A problem that arises because we have sometimes differing viewpoints on some things, and mathematics, for example, the same mathematics would yield different results when starting with different presumptions. So problem of theory choice itself is something which is based on faith more than any other thing, because mostly just when we explanatory power of a theory is premised upon what we call Occam's razor. Occam's razor is the basic common sense belief that we should be subscribing to the simplest of explanations. We should be subscribing to that framework which makes the least presumptuous start about something. समझ आ रही है ना, मतलब कि जो सबसे सादा किस्म की एक्सप्लेनेशन होगी ना वो सबसे लाइकली एक्सप्लेनेशन होगी. मोस्ट लाइकली और द लाइकलीस्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन वुड बी दैट व्हिच इज द सिंपलेस्ट. ठीक है. दैट इज अ फेथ एक्सप्लेनेशन. वी डोंट नो वेदर the simpler explanations are more likely to make sense, because they make sense to us, so we believe that okay, they do. So that is why problem of theory choice itself becomes a problem in the sense that it has to be solved. पिछली बार मैंने एग्जांपल दी थी कि क्वांटम फील्ड थ्योरी और स्प्रिंग थ्योरी, दो जो मेन थ्योरीज हैं जो क्वांटम लेवल पे ऑपरेट करती हैं, उन दोनों में डिफरेंसेस पाए जाते हैं. ठीक है. उन दोनों में एक किस्म का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट तो मैं नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन डिससिमिलैरिटीज जरूर हैं. ठीक है. क्वांटम फील्ड थ्योरी इज has, but if you want to look at it that way, the quantum field theory has metaphysical connotations, but string theory has some secular connotations, so to say, in that sense. But we usually prefer string theory because it is a simpler theory. It makes less presumptions. It explains things more, maybe not more elegantly, but more simply. So that itself is an instance of faith. That itself is an instance of just taking things on the basis of utility or pragmatic considerations, rather than taking them on some deeper proclivity for truth or something. Okay. So this is where I would stop talking, and if anybody has anything to say, please.